Drug release was not changed significantly at pH 1.2 in the first 2 hours. Also, a negligible amount of drug was released at the pH 6.8 in the period of 4 hours. As I said, they were comparing the 6 formulations for their cumulative drug release with time. As we can see, F4 formulation showed a maximum drug release as compared to the other formulations. The enteric-coated layer of the capsule was dissolved completely at pH 7.4, and the microparticles were exposed to the gastrointestinal fluid. I'm sorry, I mean the colonic fluid. Now, as I said before, the fourth formulation, or F4, was the optimized or the optimal formulation. So researchers done more searches about it, or studies. So as we can see in figure B, F4 formulation was evaluated for drug release in and without the stimulated gastric fluid. As we can see, results indicated that sulfasalazine exhibited greater release in the presence of the stimulated gastric fluid, it's in the red line, compared to without it. This indicates and confirms that the microparticles were digested by the colonic enzymatic activity. In vivo X-ray studies, in the day of experiment and before the sacrification, the rats were given a radio-opaque material to perform the X-ray study. The X-ray photograph was taken at a regular interval of 1 hour. The X-ray revealed that the radio-opaque barium sulfate that was administered was seen as a wide capsular shape for the first 3 hours, which means that the enteric coating was not dissolved in the stomach and the small intestine, which obviously confirmed the integrity of the enteric coating layer. After 4 hours, the capsule started to release its content in the distal part of the small intestine. The capsule then was transited to colon after 6 hours, where the enteric coating layer was dissolved at the pH 7.4 in the colonic fluid to give its mechanism of action and relief of the inflammatory bowel disease. So after the capsule enter the colonic region, it will start to swell and then dissolve to release its content of the drug to treat the inflammatory bowel disease and to relieve its symptoms at the pH 7.4. The last study that was done is the stability study. The study was made on the fourth formulation, or F4, for a period of 180 days to estimate the perfect storage conditions. The formulation was stored in amber colored glass bottles that were closed with rubber plug and sealed with aluminum caps. As we can see, the bottles were exposed to different temperatures. We have 25, 30, and 40 degrees. We can see here that the particle size was found to be decreased slightly at temperature 30, as we can see here. Also at the 40 degrees. It was 466 and then it was 446. The rate of drug release of formulation was slightly increased at 30 degrees and 40 degrees, which would be due to the formation of fractures and cervix in the microparticles. Now, the stability studies concluded that the shelf life for this formulation was found to be 3.3 years, 2.6 years, and 2.1 years at 25, 30, and 40 degrees respectively. And this will lead to a conclusion that the elevated temperatures did not significantly change the integrity of these microparticles. So after observing all the parameters, the most suitable condition was observed at the temperature 25. So the storage temperature is 25. Since there is no significant change in drug release and particle size in this temperature range. The conclusions. As we said before, we are going to use the microcarriers or microparticles drug delivery system because they are selective and they guarantee the release of the drug in the site of action. This will lead to more potent and more stabilized drug with minimum side effects because it will directly go to the site of action. As we said before, the preparation of sulfasalazine was made by ionic gelatin process, and the formulation was done by putting different strengths of sulfasalazine and polymer, which is pectin, with different concentrations of calcium chloride. And as we said, this drug delivery system is a pH-dependent capsule or pH-sensitive capsule. Also, we said that the formulation 4 or F4 is the optimized formulation that gave the highest drug entrapment and release rates in the in vitro studies. And as we saw, the enteric coating was not degraded in the intestine and in the stomach, which will lead to release of the drug in the colonic region. So this will give us the conclusion that the drug can be administered with a low dose and frequency, which will lead to the patient compliance. Thank you for listening, and I hope I did well.